Kirby, thank you, John. So earlier you talked about the debt trap that you were going to address that issue on this trip. The global infrastructure partnership, which is going to be announced on this trip.
Yeah.
How is it a reboot on the Build Back Better world, and is it supposed to be an alternative to China's One Belt and One Road initiative? And I want to add a question on the allies. You're talking about the allies never being stronger. However, we see yesterday China is hosting a BRICS business forum, and we see India and Brazil sitting down with Xi Jinping and Putin. So what's White House reaction on that? Thank you.
So let me take the second one first, because I tend to forget questions if I do them in the order you asked them. No, it's okay. It's just age. Sad but true. Thanks. So on the BRICS, we'll let those countries speak for themselves, and for the meetings they're having and the discussions, and whatever outcomes there might be from that, they can speak for themselves. What I think is important for us to speak to today is this weekend, is G7 and the NATO summit, and the multilateral efforts that President Biden is applying to revitalizing these alliances and partnerships, and really putting forth ideas, concrete initiatives that are gonna help our national security, help economic security, help food security. And so that's what we're focused on. Those countries can speak for themselves, and it's obviously not the first time that they have gotten together, but I'll let them speak for their agenda. Well, I can only talk about ours, and I just laid that out in the opening statement. On the global infrastructure partnership, I think this was something that the president unveiled at the G7 summit last year. And so this year, what you're going to see is him and his G7 partners really actualizing this. I don't want to get ahead here of announcements, but you'll see the G7 really putting some energy and some resources behind this going forward. And it is about, as I put in my opening statement, it is about alternatives to other models out there that are highly transactional and actually work to the disadvantage of lower and middle income countries. We think there's better ways of doing business. There's better ways of fostering economic development and infrastructure than some of the models out there. And we believe that this is one of them, and we're excited to get it started.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I had a question about NATO and Sahel, because you mentioned Russia, China, but I understand Spain and also France push for the summit to also address threats originating on the southern front, like jihadism and non-military threats linked to climate change, food insecurity, migration, etc. So will this be part of the discussions as well? Look,
in general, the security situation on the southern flank of NATO is almost always on the agenda, and we recognize the challenges and the threats that continue to affect security of our NATO allies on that southern flank. There's a lot of focus right now on the eastern flank, as it should be, but there remains a continued effort to make sure we're also paying attention to the southern flank. So I think in general it will come up. I won't get into details about the Sahel specifically, and that's really a better question left to those countries in the alliance to speak to. But just in general speaking, security along the southern flank remains key.